Mayuresh Joshi joins us to finish off things. A day which is, which really belongs to the bulls. Let's just put it that way. Mayuresh, good afternoon. Great to have you on the show. Your thoughts on the market and more specifically on one stock. I wanted to get your take on Axis Bank. It is one of the best performers on the Nifty. We know the City deal is done. Your thoughts?
Afternoon, Surbi. So on the markets, as per the ONI lens, we are more on Prashant's side at this point of time. A little bit of caution probably being laid out. I'll give you 2-3 reasons why. One, I think if you probably look at some of the emerging spaces which were in the find uptrend. I'm not talking about the Hang Seng market has done phenomenally well today. But specifically in terms of market like a Kospi, the Korean index was in a find uptrend and started clutch of distribution days. And suddenly that market is under pressure. Surprisingly, I think the European markets would have held up very, very well. You look at the DAX, you look at the stocks 500. I just put a tweet a couple of days back that it's holding out very, very strongly. And even in the US context, our global strategy research is probably suggesting that the S&P earnings probably bottom out at least a quarter or two before the S&P actually bottoms out. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe in the next couple of quarters, once we get out of this volatility and all the macro data points, with the worst probably being behind us, you might see a bottoming out process starting even for the US markets. Having said that, I think the Indian markets should hold on to those levels of 17 to 50 that we've probably seen. Holding on to those levels for this week becomes extremely critical, and then probably getting a follow-through day. A few spaces which have had leadership positions in the last few quarters, capital, goods, stroke infra, still holding out very, very well in these markets. A few of the leadership sectors have probably turned a little bit sideways, banking included, which takes me to your question on Axis Bank itself. The relative strength for Axis Bank, the EPS strength is relatively strong. The RS strength probably coming off. But with the City deal coming through, 3 million customers expected, 2.5 million in terms of card holders as well. They're getting top-notch processes probably in place in terms of customer service, customer orientation as well. And on their own numbers as well, what you're probably seeing in terms of asset quality pressures, largely getting behind them at this juncture. NIMs expected to stabilize. Deposit rates are going up for the system as a whole. And therefore, I think the stability of NIMs for the sector is a given for the next few quarters. But loan growth, capital adequacy, provisioning probably remains very strong and expected to improve going forward. Though I think the price strength probably lays off a tad bit for Axis Bank. So I think wait and watch for Axis Bank at this point of time. But largely, I think banking should start recovering in the next quarter or two, in my opinion, as far as the Indian context is.
Okay, banking recovery is what you're bracing for. Thanks a lot for that, Mayuresh. We'll try to squeeze in a couple of more questions for you. But before we slip into that mandatory break, just pull up the intraday charts of India Bulls Real Estate. There's that NCLT hearing that was pending, and it was, I think, scheduled for today. The street is optimistic that, in fact, that India Bulls as well as Embassy deal will finally get the green signal. For the time being, the stock has moved to the high point of the day. Big volumes out there. A few days ago, we had management change, and it's giving Embassy more control of the entity. So just keep an eye out on that. We'll try to get you the latest if, in fact, that NCLT green signal does come through. Slip into a short break. Come back. When you come back, final few minutes of markets, we'll close it down.